Episode 56.
Back again.
TRT podcast. Please like, share, subscribe. Spotify, YouTube. Link is in the bio. I have Rachael Keogh on the podcast. I've had Rachael on previously. She's written a book, and now we're going to speak about mother, and well, Rachel's going to fill me in. I know a teeny bit, but she's going to fill me in on her work with the mother and baby homes and the latest news on the mother and baby homes in Ireland.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, back again. No, I just... You alright?
Yeah, I'm just gonna look. That's good. I just have the top here. It's like, yeah, sit down a tiny bit so you get your head in. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Are you serious?
No, just I'm taking the piss.
You have to laugh, don't you? You do, you have to laugh.
Or you'd cry.
You would cry. I could cry. I might cry talking about this. It's a very difficult thing to talk about. Yeah, I suppose we were talking about it before. On the last podcast, I didn't go into too much detail because I was kind of waiting for the right time to talk about what's going on now, you know, and what it is that we're trying to do, specifically in relation to the mother and baby homes. I don't know, I suppose probably just start with how I actually got involved with it initially.
Yeah.
So the girl that actually done my documentary years ago, Alison O'Reilly, the journalist, she broke the story of the Tuam babies in 2014 with Catherine Corliss, the historian. Catherine had been pushing for a long time to try and get answers. The people, like, there was whispers and people kind of knew that there was babies buried in the ground in Galway, in Tuam, that was run by the Bon Secure nuns, but nobody really spoke about it, you know. But Catherine kept pushing and pushing. And eventually then the government were forced to go in and they scanned the grounds and they found that there was 796 babies buried in a septic tank in unconsecrated grounds, you know. And there was absolute uproar, rightly enough, but not enough really, John, do you know what I mean? Because the babies are still there, you know. The babies are still lying in a tank, do you know?
So as we sit here now, there's still babies in a septic tank in Tuam.
Yeah, in water waste.
Okay.
Yeah, very harrowing, you know. And not just in Tuam, you know. Now we know that 9,000 babies died in the mother and baby homes, and it came out over the last week that there was 215 babies found in Vancouver, in the Kamloops residential school that was church run as well.
Okay.
Now, they have declared that genocide.
Okay.
That's shocking, John.
Yeah.
That's shocking. Like, we have 9,000 babies, like, in Ireland, of what we know of. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So they're saying that 100,000 women went through the mother and baby homes. I know, yeah, it's infuriating. It's very hard to talk about. So this was going on from the 1920s up until 1998 was the last home that they closed was in 1998. Like, that's like only around the corner. Do you know? So yeah, Alison broke the story, and then she wrote the book. My Name is Bridget. It's about Anna Corrigan, who's an absolute warrior of a woman. I absolutely love Anna, John. What she has done, her and Alison. Alison is an absolute Trojan of a person, I'm not joking you. But and Catherine Corliss as well is a hero. But Anna's mother was in the Tuam mother and baby home, and she's still looking for her brothers. They're suspected to be in the grounds. And after that then, you know, a lot of people started coming to Alison, and it was like, what do we do about this? Like, do you know what I mean? What can we do? We need to do something, you know? And no one knew what to do, and people were trying to express themselves in different ways. People were marching, and, you know, they were taking photographs and doing all these different things, like, but Anyway, they set up the Commission of Inquiry in 2015, and it was a board with 3 people on it that were to investigate the story, lots of different things, in 13 mother and baby homes and 2 county homes across Ireland, right? And the whole thing like just went on and on and on and on and got dragged out endlessly, like, you know. He kept saying, yeah, we'll come out with this report, you know, on this date, and it wouldn't happen, and it'll be that date and it wouldn't happen, and that's been going on since then. And the report only came out in January just gone. So in the meantime, I suppose, as a kind of a way to be able to deal with this, Alison set up the Stay With Me art show, and it was a space basically for people to be able to express themselves artistically, you know. I did initially start off as an artist, and now I'm producing the show, which meant that creative producer on the show, but it meant that I had to be heavily involved in it, you know. Even though I was heavily involved from the very beginning. If you're going to do work on something like this, you have to understand what it's about, you know. But nothing could have prepared me, John. Nothing could have prepared me for what I heard from the survivors, you know. And, you know, even getting to know the artists, like, there's a lot of people in Ireland that either know somebody or they have experienced it themselves, where either they're, you know, a mother or a grandmother, you know, that they went through one of the homes and probably, you know, had their child was taken off them, and their child was allowed to perish, basically, you know. And a lot of people find it so hard to talk about it even now. It's so painful, you know.
There still is a bit of shame about it. I said it to a couple of people, and a couple of people have said to me, oh yeah, my mum or my grandmother, or, you know, but please don't ever say that on air, or, you know, there's still, we still have that guarded kind of feeling around it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we do.
It's called malignant shame. That's what it's called. That's what I learned over the years, like, of working on this, you know. But when you think about it, you know, I was saying it to you earlier on, and I'll say it again, it wasn't so long ago when you walk into a house and the Sacred Heart of Jesus took centre stage. You in every kitchen there'd be the Sacred Heart of Jesus. You know, you walk up the stairs, there'd be the Sacred Heart of Jesus watching over everything that you done and making sure that you didn't step out of line. You know, and that's what it was like. And you know, basically in when they came out with the report in January, it was an absolute whitewash of a thing. I couldn't believe it. Do you know? Now the report is 3,000 pages long. I still haven't made it through it, like, you know, but I'm going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and so are the survivors as well. I mean, a lot of the survivors have literally had to, they're like lawyers at this point. They've had to go off and study the law. Anna Corrigan did. I mean, the things they've had to do to be able to deal with the tactics that the government are coming out with, do you know what I mean? To try and delay this whole process and not actually take responsibility, you know? So, you know, we now have 64 artists as part of the Stay With Me show. We've done a good few virtual shows, but throughout all of this, I've just kind of watched it all unfold, where for the survivors it's been blow after blow after blow, right? You think of, like you said there, the courage that it takes to come out and actually say that happened to you, right? I mean, that takes a lot of courage to do that, right? And to be basically, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again, John, right? Because, like, you're talking from 1920 right up until, I don't know, the last 10 years, right? Like, I'm a bit all over the place here when I'm saying this, right? But in the report it says that society were to blame, right? Didn't take any real responsibility. They apologised, but I don't know who they were apologising. They were apologising on behalf of society, do you know? Because that's what they said. They didn't take responsibility for it, you know. And when you think about how much of a stronghold the church and the state had on us as a society, you know, since going way back, you know, before the 20s.
All these decisions were made by politicians, and they were made by priests, who are all men. All men. So all men made these decisions for women. All the walls were high, and the women were there, 50% for them. but 50% for the male that was involved.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they got sent behind the walls
Yeah.
because they stood out, or they didn't go along with this ideal of purity and this
Yeah.
this ideal that these absolute.
And that's exactly what it was. Do you know what I mean? We were totally indoctrinated with this kind of Catholic ideology that kind of had like a social hierarchy to it of like sexism and you know inequality and misogyny. And it was like, you know, women, you know, like even if you went to a dance hall, do you know.
And I'm not saying that as a born the bra merchant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm saying that as a man. Like, men made these fucking decisions for women.
Yeah.
When, who the fuck, like, you know what I mean? They shouldn't have, you know what I mean? And even now, they're still making the decisions. You know what I mean?
They are, and they really are, right? Because I'm blown away, right, by the fact that the report came out in the middle of a global pandemic. I just thought it was so convenient for them to do that. I would reckon, and a lot of the survivors think it was tactical that they done that, right? Yeah. But also, right, the way they have done it, like there's mad subversion tactics and everything going on, that it's like nearly like political warfare and psychological warfare. The tactics that they're using, it's like punch, like blow in the face, blow after blow after blow, to the point of that you're so disorientated. Now I feel this, and I'm not even subject to it, right? So I can only imagine what way the survivors feel. You're so disorientated with trying to take in all the information that you're missing what they're doing underhand, right? So you're taking in all this information, and as this is happening, the Vatican have just changed the canon law, right? And you know, it says in it that if anyone in the church is seen to ordain a woman, they'll be automatically excommunicated. So it's still the same, you know. It's that kind of you know, demonising women stuff, you know, and that's the way it was back then. You know, we lived in the, you know, the families were victims as well. You know, they were brainwashed, they were gaslit, they were shamed into thinking that if their daughter had had a baby, that the baby was basically a bastard. Do you remember that? A bastard. You know. I mean. You know, that's the way it was, and you were bringing shame on your community, you know, and everyone was terrified to step out of line, you know. And what happened was, you know, if you had a baby, a priest would knock on your door and he'd say, well, you know, the nuns will give you a helping hand. And to be quite honest, John, the helping hand they gave was a helping hand into the ground. That's what they gave, a helping hand into the ground. 9,000 babies into the ground. Our grandmothers, ancestors, our history, our roots, you know, and it's still going on, like, and it's still going on under a different establishment is the thing, right? And people just say, oh, you know, it was years ago. I know for a fact it's still going on. I have somebody that is very, very close to me that one day had a baby and the next day they didn't, right? Now this person actually can't even talk about it because of the in-camera rule. Can't even talk about it to me, but I know this happened, and this person is would be a threat in terms of the mother and baby home stuff. Now, do you know, and that child was just whipped, you know, and it's just under a different guise.
When people come up against the state in this country, the state is ruthless. It's people that were involved in the Stardust. I know some of them that are just like, I'm done. I just can't. I'm done. I'm done. And the parents are they're on their way out. Do you know what I mean? Families fractured. And I know other ones that are still kind of half fighting. But the majority are just done. Because the state, what you said, the subversion, the treating them like fools, the turning the tables on them. Like getting legal teams out there to absolutely just spin dry their brains.
100%.
As what they're doing again. As what the Irish state does.
Absolutely.
It's had more history of doing that over the years. It just rinse and repeat. And when the state comes in, like they did in the mother baby homes, we know what's good for your health. It's very worrying language to hear. Because they were all looking after them poor, God help them poor girls. That's what they were doing. And we there's evidence there of human trafficking.
Exactly.
Like babies being sold to America.
Yeah.
Whichever way you look at it,
Yeah.
money came in
Yeah.
and babies went to America
Yeah.
pre-IVF treatment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what happened.
No, it did, 100%. Like, and they're saying in the report, you know, they said in the report there's no evidence of forced adoption, right? Now, there is evidence of forced adoption because we have it in black and white. We have it there where we correspondence between, you know, the nuns and families over in America where they were accepting donations, you know, and asking for money, you know. And we have survivors that are part of the Stay With Me group that you know have that openly say, I was trafficked.
Yeah.
I was taken out of a car and I was given to
Yeah.
another family and I was shipped away to this place or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know? But they're saying the report says it doesn't reflect what the survivors, what the testimonies were. Right? They're saying that there was no evidence of forced adoption, no evidence of abuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I mean clearly there was.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Or the people wouldn't be going to the commission in the first place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They were abused, you know, they were raped,
Yeah.
they were brutalised,
Yeah.
they were shamed, you know, they'd have, like something out of a concentration camp, they'd have their hair cut when they got there, and they were deprived of medication, they had to work in back-breaking, appalling conditions for mad hours, you know, and they were like ghastly. Do you know, they were told that, you know, they were evil for getting pregnant out of wedlock. You know, imagine going through all of that. You know, and then your child being taken off you and never seeing your child ever again. Okay, and you know, like they're trying to say like that there wasn't forced adoptions, like, and it says in the commission that the consent had to be free. It had to be free and informed, right, on behalf of the mother when the child was taken. Now, that's what the terms of reference were when the Board of Commissioners were looking into this thing, right? They had like a term of reference thing that they had to kind of check out, and that's what they were looking at. Was it informed consent? No, it wasn't, you know. And in the report, it says that, you know, basically, you know, they decided to let them go, type of language, you know. So there was that, and before the report came out, I just thought it was mad because it all happened around the same time. They were waiting for years, right? And then it was just like boom, 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 you know. So there was the files went missing, then they suddenly reappeared again, right? Like loads of testimonies, all of that went missing, and then they reappeared again. Leo Varadkar said he was like very surprised about the whole thing, and then they sealed the archives, sealing of the archives for 30 years. That was absolutely disgraceful. What they done on the survivors. You know?
Was the Child Minister Roger Gorman done that.
So there was all of that. So they were dealing with that, and then they had to deal with the report in the middle of lockdown. You know, and since then, what's happened is that because of the language that's used in the report, a lot of the survivors want the report retracted. They want the whole thing squashed, right? Because it's not the truth, basically, right? They're not documenting history properly and taking responsibility, you know. But then there's another lot of survivors that, you know, they're getting older. They're not, you know, they're not going to be around for much longer. They want redress, like, you know. So what happened was it created a big split in between the survivors. And as far as I'm concerned, I think they wanted that.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, exactly. Just more tactics, you know. So it created this big split, and the survivors are absolutely beside themselves, re-traumatised over and over again. And now this thing, right, over the last couple of weeks, what's materialised was, and this is just shocking, there was 3 commissioners on the board, right, and one of them, Professor Mary Daly, was asked to turn up in front of the Oireachtas Committee for Children to answer key questions about the process of doing the report, right, and she declined. Right, she declined to go there and give answers to the process of that to the survivors, right. But then last week she turned up unannounced at an academic seminar, right, that was meant to be for like history students, right, and spoke about it behind closed doors
Wow.
to strangers,
Wow.
right? And completely broke all the ethics, like an code of conduct, and
Wow.
just gross negligence on
Yeah.
her behalf, right?
Wow.
Now, before that happened, Wynne got out, that she was going to be talking, and a lot of the survivors got a hold of the Zoom link, right?
Okay.
So hundreds of them actually did attend and actually heard what she had to say,
Okay.
and journalists as well, right?
Okay.
And she admitted that the way they set it up from the very beginning was done to confuse. Like, she said basically that there was two. It's very hard to explain, John,
Mm-hmm.
but it's done on purpose like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was two different commissions, right?
Yeah.
In the one commission, right? Now they'd say to you, now you have a choice, right? You can either come before the confidential committee, or else you can come before the investigation committee, right?
Okay.
Now, what would your initial reaction be to that? I mean, I'd much rather go to a confidential committee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Sounds a bit more
Yeah.
softer.
Yeah.
Do you know? And that is the way it was, like, you
Yeah.
know. So if you go to the investigation committee, you're going to be interrogated, right? You're going to have to swear under oath, right? So we don't believe, you know what I mean? So we don't believe you, like, you're going to have to swear under oath that this happened to you,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to sign an affidavit, and you're going to be cross-checked and cross-examined, heavy going stuff, like,
Yeah.
right? Now, you can do that, or else you can go and speak to the confidential committee, and you can tell your story to a sympathetic ear.
Mm-hmm.
So about 500 people went to the confidential committee because they obviously thought, it'd be easier, right? But what they didn't know was that, and your woman Mary Daly said it, was that from the very beginning they'd no intention of using any of the testimonies from the confidential committee.
Because it was confidential.
Yeah.
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 Masterstroke.
Unbelievable. So they were
Masterstroke.
all discarded. 500 testimonies discarded. The whole report is based on 19 testimonies from the investigation committee. So the whole thing was a waste of time and a big lie.
Yeah.
You know. Now, so all of this is going on, John, right? And in the meantime, there's 9,000 babies, like, dead. Do you know? And, like, I don't know, the way I look at it is that the dead don't let you forget them.
No.
They don't, you know.
No.
Atrocities like that
Yeah.
will not stay buried,
No.
you know. And I think that by the time that the government get around, if they ever do, send forensics into any of those homes, the survivors won't be with us anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And when you think of even Tuam, now in 1969, the county council were building the Athenry Road, right? Now they had planning, and the Athenry Road is beside the burial grounds, right? They had to have known that those babies were there, right? They knew. Nobody opened their mouth, like. And even with those babies, there were anomalies, right? And because of this construction that went on around that area, they weren't properly able to identify the bones, even, or match the DNA, because there's that much obstruction.
Damage.
Yeah, you know. Now, there's an awful lot of fear around all of this stuff, right? And this is the other thing that I think is slipping under the radar as well. While all this is going on, right, apart from the whole canon law being changed, they're also they're changing the Burials Act, right? Now, years ago, the law was that if a person dies, right, the coroner's duty is to go in and he has to be present for the inquest, right?
Yeah.
It has to be registered when you die, your name, your date of birth, all the details, you know, and where you're buried, right? No, like, there was loads of them that weren't registered, so the nuns can't answer. They know, but they can't answer because they didn't register. So they broke the law. That's manslaughter.
Yes.
That is manslaughter, and it should be treated as manslaughter.
Yeah.
And they're crime scenes, and they should be treated that way.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. 9,000 babies is a genocide.
It is a genocide.
You have to call a spade, and you can say, "Oh, it's that way years ago, and that's the way." And I had Christopher Smith on talking about Artane, and we all want to just give them a quick few quid and just keep it quiet. And it was years ago. This is our history.
Yeah.
It's shameful. And if we choose to listen to these mealy-mouthed politicians and let them gloss over it, do you know what? What type of humans are we? What type of people are we?
Yeah.
We can't let that happen. As like lots of people have reached out to me on this. I
Yeah.
put up stuff about Letterfrack years ago.
Yeah.
The amount of people that sent me messages, my dad had a girlfriend and the girlfriend went down and they split up and blah 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 when she was younger.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
every single one of us knows somebody
Yeah.
or has a secret in our family or
Yeah.
something like that. Every
Yeah.
single one of us. It
Yeah.
affects us all. You know?
It really does. Like, it's had a ripple effect on us as a society, you know, and it's a, even the way we laugh stuff off, you know, and kind of make a joke about everything, you know, it all kind of stems back to that. And it has been said to me loads of times, that word, that term, malignant shame, that we have, that we, you know, we actually deep down don't think we're worth anything, you know, and a lot of it is stemmed in that kind of staunch Catholicism, you know. So yeah, like, you know, the Burials Act, that's being changed now at the minute again, and now they're saying that a coroner doesn't have to be present, right? There's just so much going on with it. It's phenomenal. Did I tell you about did I speak about the Kamloops industrial? No. Yeah, so you just mentioned genocide there. Yeah. So only in the last week it's came out that 215 babies in Canada were found in an in a school, Kamloops school, where the church had done the same thing. They let 215 babies perish and bury them in unconsecrated grounds. Yeah. And now Vancouver or Canada they declared that genocide. Yeah. And we've over 9,000 babies, and the survivors are still having to fight to be believed. You know, for them to send in forensics, for them to scan, for them to excavate, for them to exhume, for them to identify the babies, for them to rebury them and give them a proper dignified burial that they deserve, that they should have gotten the very beginning, you know. Imagine if that was your child. Imagine if that was your child, and that your child, you know, that they withheld medication, right? They let the babies die. The babies die choking on their porridge, sunstroke, heat stroke, congenital heart failure, masmoris, just
neglect, basically
heartbreaking stuff. They were prisons, they were hellholes, you know. It was enslaved labour, you know. It was enslaved torture, and to me, I mean, I'm not doing this anymore. I think it needs to be dealt with on a European level, on an international level, where the UN Committee Against Torture, you know, against discrimination against women, you know, and like human rights, the UN Committee of Human Rights actually does need to step in and investigate this now, because they can't be trusted, like, you know. So all of this is going on anyway, and there is one home, John, there's one home, Sean Ross Abbey, right? Now, when we were doing the Stay With Me show, Alison managed to get her hands on the names and the causes of deaths of the babies that died in Sean Ross Abbey. And there's 1,024 babies.
That's right? In South Tipperary, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's 1,024 babies that are unaccounted for there, right? Okay. Now Alison, when she got that, I'm not joking, John, we sobbed for about a week. Yeah. And Frankie King made a video to it, and we had this girl, Orla Sweeney, she done a song for the thing, and it goes on. Just names.
1,024 babies unaccounted for. Yeah. Which technically could be in the ground somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now, it's the only home that's not state run, right? So, what I'm trying to do is, right, I'm organising this event, right? I've set up a GoFundMe. Yeah. Now, even this is very, very sensitive stuff, right? Because I couldn't set up a GoFundMe to go directly to... We're trying to get the engineers that scan the grounds of Tuam, right? Okay. They have agreed to go in and scan the grounds of Sean Ross Abbey, okay. Right? Now, when that was... Catherine Corder's paid for that out of her own pocket, right? Now, I couldn't set up a GoFundMe that went directly to pay these engineers, because it's tacky. Yes. To be honest with you. Yeah. Right? Because we shouldn't even be doing this. Like, yes. The government should be going in there, you know. Yeah. And they should have went in straight away. you know. So the way we have to do is, we were like, well, how are we going to pay them? We need to get the money up to pay these engineers to stand the grounds. It's the only one that we can go into, and like time really is an issue at the moment, you know. It's like it's urgent that the forensics are sent in, you know. So we decided, I was approached by two guys, Dean Bourne and James Lee, they do event management and stuff like that. And we already were starting to kind of get musicians coming to us anyway with the Stay With Me show, and that wanted to kind of contribute their work and stuff like that, you know. Support in that sense has been phenomenal. It really has, you know. Yeah, so we need to do this event, right? We already have a really good lineup of people who are going to want to perform, and check out the Urban Forensics page as well, just if you want to know a bit more about that. But basically, I need people to help with this GoFundMe.
Okay.
I really, really need, like, you know, for people to push this. If you know anyone that has been affected by the mother and baby story, or please do, like, go and check it out. It's if you just go into Google Rachael Keogh GoFundMe, you'll see it, and it'll tell you everything about what we're trying to do here. And anything at all that you can help with is hugely appreciated. This is really important. We're trying to bring the babies home, basically, is what we're trying to do, and we're going to put on this event. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to put on this event, and we're going to celebrate the women as well. Yeah. And it's important to say that, you know. Now the thing about it is, with the engineers that are going in, they're going in. It won't be obstructive in any way, and that's important that the survivors know that, right? It's non-invasive, non-intrusive, completely legal. Yeah. They're basically going in with, like, penetrating their heated scans, right? Okay. And basically what is they kind of slit the trenches and put little cameras in, you know. And what will happen is if they find babies, it will force the government's hand. Then we're going to force the government's hand to do it. Okay. So, you know,
please, please
heavy,
do me a favour. Go on to Rachel's GoFundMe. If you have €20, €50, €100, €200, there's over 1,000 babies in South Tipperary unaccounted for. You know, they need to be, as you said, brought home. They need to be a bit of dignity surrounding them. Please give a few bob to it. When I spoke to you the last time, I'm organising a hike with friends of mine. Yeah. We're going to do a hike. The location hasn't been named yet. It will be in the next while. A good few of my friends that I swim with down the beach, and a good few of my friends that play football and are comedians and MMA fighters and all that are going to give me a dig out with it. We're going to do a hike, and all the money is going to Rachel's GoFundMe, because number one, we have to celebrate and remember these babies and these mothers and these people through art. Yeah. Because the government don't want that, and they just want it buried, a dirty little secret hidden away, the way the priests did and the government did all them years ago. So that needs to be done. And also, you know, it's we all have kids. I've kids. We've all have small children. Look at your children and think about the life that them children didn't get. Yeah, you know what I mean, through no fault of their own. So that's why I have nobody of mine was ever in a mother and baby home. Yeah. But I'm a human being. I have a heart. I said that to you the last time that we were going to do that. So please just give a few bob, €100, €50, €20 into Rachel's GoFundMe and help with this. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, because now is the time. There's a lot of heat on this at the minute, and the survivors are really pushing, because of what happened with Professor Daly. You know, they're really pushing at the minute, and the more light that's shown onto this, the better. You know, for the mothers, the adoptees, the survivors, and the babies first and foremost. You know, and we say all of this, and we're sitting at a church.
I know. You look at all these areas like Raheny, Cabra, has two of them. Donny Carney, the biggest buildings in the whole community were the churches, and everybody in the little houses all around them was half bleeding starving.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I know, but we are in a position now, we're in a really good position where we are able to kind of stop the rot, you know. We really are, like, but like, you know, we're setting up this event thing. We can't do it without the money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we really just want everyone to get on board and for it to be a collective thing, and you know. So.
And I've looked at some of the stuff the art you've done. I looked at Nora Casey's Blue Shoe.
Yeah.
I've looked at all the artists that have contributed. So please follow the Stay With Me art page on Instagram. It's great.
Yeah.
Follow Rachael Keogh herself, and
Urban Forensics
on Instagram.
Yeah.
And just give a few bob, get on the GoFundMe, and just message me. I'll let you know about the hike, where it's going to be. It's going to be local enough, and we're gonna get this money. And a friend of mine also, Paddy Houlihan, is involved in this as well.
Yeah.
So we're between the two of us, we're gonna help out big time and get a few bob sorted. You know?
Amazing. Yeah, we're going to Sean Ross Abbey as well. Connor is coming with us. He's bringing the drone.
D13 Media. Yeah, we're going down and we're going to do a video down at Sean Ross Abbey.
Yeah.
And take photographs and stuff.
But we want everyone to get involved.
Yeah.
You know?
Please.
Yeah.
These were some mother's sons, some mother's daughters, and they didn't end up in them places on their own. Years ago they used to say the girls got themselves into trouble. No, somebody got them into trouble, and then they shoved them behind high walls and didn't give a fuck about them.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, so exactly. And that's the thing, you know. It's so easy to forget, you know, because of social media, and we're like scrolling, and as you know, as we were saying earlier on, those babies are still lying in pits, like, you know. Yeah. And that's and there's no getting away from that.
No, not
Do you
at
know,
all.
there really isn't, like, you know. So yeah, we really appreciate any help at all.
So please follow all them pages I said. If you want any information with regards to this hike coming up, give me a message. Also give Rachael a follow. Please like, subscribe, share. I had Christopher Smith on this before, talking about the abuse that he suffered, and now we're speaking about the mother and baby homes and just getting some information. But please go on to Rachel's GoFundMe, give her a few bob. That's it.
Yeah, that's the law.
Thanks, Will, Rachael.
Thank you so much.
No worries at all.
Thanks.